A good man, though a slave, is free, but a wicked man, though a king, is a slave. For he serves not one man alone, but what is worse, as many masters as he has vices. If you want to maintain political control, promote vice. And that's the story of our culture. Even if you're not a homosexual, you should act like one, because the homosexual is the ideal citizen. Why is the homosexual the ideal citizen? Well, because he's easy to manage. And this culture is interested in control and management. And so, for example, wages. Our friends on the left, let me tell you, the fact that you now have homosexual marriage means that you cannot talk about economics anymore. The homosexual movement is the avant-garde of the revolutionary movement in our day. Now, look, everybody knows the oligarchs are promoting homosexual rights. We've talked about this before. The left sold out during the 1970s, where they said basically, okay, you give us sexual liberation, we won't criticize your economic system. And that's so we have Goldman Sachs, the head of Lloyd Blankfein, endorsing gay marriage because it's in his interest, economic interest, to do this, because if the system here is that basically, even if you're not a homosexual, you have to act as if you're a homosexual. And that means transient sexual relations, transient sterile sexual relations. Because these people are easy to control. Once you have non-transient fertile relations, that's known as a family, and the father then feels he needs a raise to raise his family, and suddenly he's causing trouble with the personnel department. This is the new situation. The oligarchs have decreed this from on high, and if you think it's going to change, you're kidding yourself. And so it's my job to let you guys down easy, and we'll change it to a boutique economy. So we'll have gay bars maybe, or something like that, and you guys can work as bartenders at gay bars or something like that. But the manufacturing jobs are never coming back because the oligarchs have decreed that, and I am the agent of the oligarchs. The United States was created by the oligarchs and for the oligarchs and of the oligarchs. It's very simple.
Which is basically commerce and money.
Right. Basically, we're talking about the oligarchs at that time were known as creditors. And the creditors are always a minority, and the debtors are always a majority, and that was the beginning of this whole thing. The Supreme Court was created as an oligarch institution, basically to overrule the majority whenever the oligarchs didn't like something, and that is what they have done ever since. The oligarchs are now in love with homosexuals. We have here, again, this alliance between CEOs and homosexuals that is the cutting edge of revolution in our day. And what is the revolution about? The oligarchs are out to destroy representative government. Well, America rules the world. America is imposing this on the rest of the world. The proof that you're a colony of America is that you're taking gay marriage seriously. Only American colonies take gay marriage seriously. America rules by moral corruption, and it spreads this moral corruption throughout the entire world under the pretext of spreading or concern about human rights. America is now one big gay disco. And we know that because that's what the New York Times said. So basically, if you're an American, you're called to die for the gay disco. And you're called to fight the people who don't like the gay disco, which is basically the Muslims.
Right. So if somebody joins the Air Force or the military,
you're fighting for the gay disco.
Yeah.
Because that's what defines us.
As a mercenary.
As a mercenary for the gay disco.
Well, in that article, Bruni quoted the mayor as basically defining his concept of freedom as the freedom to be able to marry a guy.
Yes.
And without that, you really don't have
We're all
freedom.
slaves. Unless these homosexuals can get married, we're all total slaves. Okay?
Yeah.
The Ayatollah Khomeini said the United States is the great Satan.
But a lot of it because we do promote homosexuality.
Well, why? What more proof do you need that the United States is the great Satan other than their promotion of homosexuality? It's their job to spread the sin that cries to heaven for vengeance throughout the world. Why do they do this? Because sexual liberation is a form of control.
In the name of freedom.
In the name of freedom.
And Peter
because
says,
this is precisely what happened here. America is the gay disco. This is our definition of freedom. You can commit sodomy in the men's room, and that's freedom. Of course, you're not going to get paid a decent wage anymore, you know. That's gone. The family wage is gone. So you better just get used to being a homosexual. And take what little wage we give you and be happy and go to the disco and have sex with 10 men. These people are slaves to their passions. If they're ever a slave to his passion, it's a homosexual. He doesn't even have nature on his side. If you have nature on your side and you're having sex with a woman, maybe you'll fall in love with her. And maybe she'll get pregnant, and maybe you'll have a child, and maybe you'll realize this is the way it's going to be, and you'll get married, and everything will work out. That's impossible with a homosexual. That can never happen. And that's why they are committed to the revolution. They are committed revolutionaries because they're only going to be happy when they overthrow the social order. And that they're willing to do this, and that's what they are. They're proxy warriors, exactly like the Mujahideen, except that the homosexuals are proxy warriors fighting in the United States. What we're talking about here is the transvaluation of values that Nietzsche talked about. They are the people who know what the real moral law is, and you don't. The moral order is changed. And now you are wrong, and when you're in error, error has no rights. There's never been a world without rules. And there never will be a world without rules. There's never been a world without deviance, and there's never been a world without punishment for deviance. The only question is, what is going to be considered deviant, and who's going to set the rules? The revolutionaries in this instance were a cabal of three different groups of people: the CEOs, the homosexuals, and the Jews. What do these three groups have in common? They're all minorities. What do they have in common? They have enormous political and media and financial power. And so what is their main problem? How do you get to impose your views on everyone else when the official explanation is that we live in a democracy? How do you do this? Well, you do this by by talking about human rights and by talking about the morality of human rights. The net result is tyranny. The Jews were heavily involved. Amy Dean, Jewish lady, wrote an article in Tikkun saying, if it weren't for Jews, there would be no homosexual marriage. Now, if I say that, I'm an anti-Semite. But she says it in Tikkun, a Jewish magazine, so it's true. Joe Biden said the same thing. They've been promoting this all along because it is subversive. And this is their way to take over and control people. Remember what I said? Tolerate them, but you cannot give them equal rights. Because you're a subversive minority. Because we know your history, we know what you've done in the past. You know, the leopard doesn't change his spots. We know what you are, and we are not going to allow you to destroy our culture.